Now the first step is to cut the plywood to the dimensions needed for your design. Let me show you how easy it is to cut plywood using any of the tools described earlier. Let's take a look at this. Plywood is a very easy material to work with, and a circular saw will have no difficulty in getting through it with a clean cut. Have your jig or straight edge clamped in place, take a firm grip on the saw with both hands, and apply a steady motion, letting the saw cut through the material. Cutting plywood with a jigsaw may be a little slower than using a circular saw, but it still gets through the material with very little effort. You will most likely be using a single-handed grip, so be sure to have a firm hold on the saw and keep it against the jig or straight edge guide. Here I'm using a router to cut through plywood. As I mentioned in the previous chapter, be prepared for a lot of sawdust and material on the floor when you're done, since the cutting bit on the router is much wider than a typical saw blade. Set up your fence on the table saw and use a steady motion to guide the plywood through the blade. As you get closer to the cutting action, use a push stick to prevent your hands from getting too close to the blade.